I do welcome you, and Marcos, thank you so much for gathering all the faculty and staff. And I asked if he was a DJ, and he said he's not, but he could be, huh? Because he's excellent, his great voice. But we're ready to launch the semester, and do what we do so well to empower students to succeed. And my team knows that I've shown this, but I really like it because it was New Year's Eve, and I was looking through the New Mexican, and on the back cover of the front page, many of you probably saw this fabulous ad that congratulated our students for graduating. And of course, was Matthew on this one? Yes, Matthew is here, the excited student. And I know everybody's excited and happy to graduate, but he was particularly enthusiastic and emotional and excited, wasn't he? So I found out that it had been 10 years that he'd been working on his degree. And so that's why he was jumping up. I should have hugged him, but he just threw me for a loop. But I really should have given him a big hug, and I did congratulate him. But this was just part of some of the marketing that our fabulous department does, in getting the word out about the great things that we do at Sfcc, Santa Fe Community College, and all the work certainly is related to you and your efforts as staff, as faculty, working with students, reinforcing their efforts to succeed, to get their certificates, to get their degrees, and you did it. And certainly commencement was outstanding. Outstanding time to celebrate our students. So I mentioned this particular young man, Matthew. There he is in living color. But he certainly is a fabulous representation of success, of enthusiasm, of joy, of celebration that, is reflective of all our students who complete their certificates or degrees. And of course, it's because of all of you motivating them, reinforcing their good work, and encouraging them, encouraging them to continue and not to give up, because there's a lot of challenges. So I think that the fact that we had graduation here at Sfcc was fantastic. It was good to be back home, and it was a lot of work to get it back and prepare. And we had a fabulous graduation committee that worked very diligently for it to be successful. The Welcome and Advising Center, the Registrar, Plan Operations and Management, and custodial staff, student development, and the student ambassadors, safety and security, OIT, which is of course technology office, marketing and public relations, SFC TV 16, who recorded the ceremony and had it live streamed, and many, many others contributed, to making our December 9th graduation successful. And then afterwards, a lot of us came over to the craft sale, which was amazing. I got a lot of holiday gifts there, a lot. I was tired. Many of us really did enjoy that. So if you didn't come this year, be sure and return next year. It's really, really great. Wonderful artists that sell their wares. So it takes all of us to pull off graduation so that our graduates and our guests can truly be honored and celebrated and made to feel so special. And that was the case. I particularly love the fact that we had our Mayor Javier Gonzalez present as a keynote speaker. He's very enthusiastic as a partner to our college, and he really knows how important what we do is to the economy of the city. And so he was very, very complimentary and enthusiastic. And then, of course, our fabulous student speaker, Noemi Bojorquez Flores, did an outstanding job. I am sure that Ernest and Mary prepared her very well, because she shined as a fabulous student speaker. And then, of course, Mariachi Encanto added the perfect closing to our celebration. I'm so glad we were able to get the mariachi to play at the end. They were fabulous, and the families were all happy to have them. Yes? You can't hear me very well. I'm so sorry. Is this better? I need to talk right into the mic. Forgive me. Some of the mics, each one works a little bit differently, so I'll get up right here. Anyway, moving on, I want to congratulate our current faculty and staff who recently were also graduates themselves. And these are the individuals whose names we have that finished up their degrees or certificates. It's a lot of hard work as a full-time employee, as, other roles with family. So can all of you please stand? Tiffany, Barbara, Kelly, Chris, I know he's out sick today, Bernadette, Linda, Anita, and Melba. Are you here? Please stand. Okay, wait a minute, is Tiffany here? I don't know everybody yet. Tiffany is right back there. Of course, Tiffany Bracamontes, Bachelor of Arts in Chicano Studies from UNM. Barbara Amelia Byrne Gonzalez, are you here? She's not. Okay, congratulations to her on Certificate in Early Childhood and Associate of Applied Science from Sfcc. Kelly Durbin. There you are, Kelly. Congratulations on getting your Master's of Arts in Educational Administration from NMSU. I already mentioned Chris is out, but he got a certificate in criminal investigation at SFCC. Bernadette Gonzalez, Bachelor of Science in Family and Human Development from Arizona State University. Congratulations. Linda Ortiz. She's working. Okay, congratulations to Linda for receiving Certificate in Criminal Investigation from SFCC. Anita Pendleton. Is she here? Where is she? There you are. Certificate in Nutrition from SFCC. Keep us healthy, please. Melba Ramos. There you are, Melba. Associate of Arts in Photography at SFCC. Is there anyone else whose name we did not have? Okay, congratulations again to our graduates, our employees who are graduates. The other good news that I wanted to mention are some awards that departments here at SFCC received. Our Plants Operation Management team received a 2017 PNM Business Energy Efficiency Star Award. Congratulations, Henry, and your team for achieving significant energy savings. And also the Marketing and Public Relations Department ad campaign Learn Work and Learn Transfer has won a National Council for Marketing and Public Relations Paragon Award. Congratulations, Todd and team. So the next piece is a campaign that the governing board will be approving at their January 24th meeting. We presented it to them in December, and they're very enthusiastic about it. So the college will join the City of Santa Fe in issuing a joint proclamation kicking off the SFCC Kindness Campaign and the city's Compassionate City Initiative. So I have a button that I'm going to wear that is about the campaign, and you'll all be able to receive one. I want to read the proclamation today. Whereas the Kindness is Key at SFCC initiative is an all-campus effort to promote and instill a kind and compassionate campus culture. Whereas Kindness is Key at SFCC is aligned with both a larger city initiative to be a compassionate city, as well as a national movement to do the same. Whereas the spirit of kindness is key at SFCC is to identify, recognize, and promote kindness as a means to a more equitable and compassionate community and professional environment to better support students and one another. Whereas the primary goal of Kindness is Key at SFCC is to have a kinder and more compassionate, more inviting, and more authentic student and professional experience at SFCC, which will promote and practice equity, inclusiveness, and connection for all of its members. Last whereas, the goal of Kindness is Key at SFCC supports and promotes SFCC's mission to empower students and strengthen community, as well as demonstrates the value SFCC places in its people. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Santa Fe Community College Governing Board that SFCC shall be a full and active participant in the Kindness is Key at SFCC, and be it further resolved that the president of SFCC shall be authorized to implement this resolution through any practical means she deems appropriate in her sound discretion. So you'll be hearing much more about it beginning this month, and I think it very nicely reinforces what we're all about already at SFCC, and it just brings kindness up to the forefront, not only for our students, for each other, but also for visitors and community. So I also want to thank Dean Camila Bustamante, who was a key leader in getting us involved in Kindness is Key at SFCC. Thank you, Dean Bustamante. So I talked about our efforts to, get the word out about our college and both reinforce retention as well as recruitment. And, we're very proud of our retention rate because it has gone up significantly in the last 5 years. It's the highest it's been in these last 5 years, to 64%. And, it's a result of a concerted effort, again, by everyone being part of the solution, including students, advisors, the tutoring center, ambassadors, faculty, and the foundation, financial aid. Every single one of us, custodians play a role also, because they're the ones that often are asked by students. And I think that once I have a couple of different buttons on right now, and we'll be getting to the one about the bond, but there's one that we don't have yet, but we're working on it and hope to have it later this month, and that is name badges, so that our students know who works here and they can ask questions, they can ask for directions, they can ask, to help guide them a little bit. And I know that Special Services, Vaughn already has hers and all her team wears them. So I know that there's been some efforts to obtain badges in the past, but we will be doing that this year and this month, and that's another way that I think we can be kind to each other, we can be helpful to each other, and professional also, and another way to reinforce retention. So thank you for everything you do, and again, these retention rates are from fall to fall. So that means that students, still go through, finish up the fall semester, finish up the spring semester. Some of them come back in the summer. Some of them go to work in the summer. But it's a major feat to get them back, because we know that many of them really do want to go to work, prefer to go to work, and we want them back. And somehow they juggle and are able to do it all. And I bet that some of your programs have, strategies, and some of you individuals have strategies that really work for you. I would love to be able to capture those. Does anybody have one they want to share? I'm all about sharing this morning that, really seems to work for your program in terms of getting students to come back from fall to fall. Anybody want to share? Okay, we'll have another opportunity if you don't want to today. It's kind of off the cuff here, but I'm curious, because I know that you all work very diligently and have strategies that might work for culinary, that work for photography, or for some of the other programs, nursing, etc., dental assisting. Now, to help us in the recruitment and retention, we have a Recruit 'em Again campaign, and it's just examples of some of the pieces that marketing has put together. The one on your left, states that within a year of graduating, 89% of our graduates either have a job, are working, or continue their education. That's really outstanding, that we are having successes where they want to continue their education or are able to get a job. And then the one on your right is showing that we have over 100 certificates that students can complete within a year in order to be prepared for a job. And the other neat thing about these certificates is they're stackable, so students can complete that certificate, get a job, but the certificate is linked to an associate degree, and they can come back at any time to continue their education. So we have them hooked. You know, to me, that's very important, and we know that jobs are also critical in order for them to contribute to their lives, their families, etc. So those are just a few of them. I have seen one on one of the roundabouts, the one about 89%, and you'll see them in other marketing pieces around. The other significant accomplishment is our graduation rate. So, you know, we have our 2020 goal to hit 20% graduation rate by 2020. Well, we exceeded it. We were ahead of the game. We actually reached it last year, and we're at 23%. It's the blue bar over here on the right. That's what our graduation rate was in 2016-17. And we're happy to say that that low-income students surpassed that by 1% to 24%, the graduation rate, and then Hispanic students even surpassed that more to 26%, the orange bar. So we're happy that the students who need education the most are succeeding at a higher rate. Now, when we had a presentation with the legislative delegation last week, and when we presented this, you know, we were proud, but one of the legislators said, well, it seems low. But the thing is that for our federal reporting, you know, this is what they look at. If we look at students like Matthew, you know, that took him 10 years, or others that finished in half that time, maybe in 5 years, I understand it jumps up to like over 50%. And we know that realistically, many of our students can't finish in 2 years because of financial need that they may have, et cetera. But we're making good progress. So congratulations again to everybody for this accomplishment. And again, I think it's important that we keep plugging away and working harder to increase it even more, because I mean, that's when they succeed, we succeed, and that's what we're trying to do. One more graph here, the closing the achievement rate by gender is one that we're doing great. The blue is the female graduation rate, but look at the male. You know, it's not where it needs to be. We need to get our male students graduating at higher rates, and this is a concern. This is a concern, and we really think it is related to, you know, getting jobs, going out and flipping burgers at Blake's, you know, because that gives them money right away, but it isn't a long-term solution. So after the bond election, because right now my goal is to focus on the bond election, I want to convene a task force on Hispanic male retention and ask those of you who are interested to email me if you'd like to serve on that task force, so we can put our heads together and come up with some strategies to address this and turn it around and improve, because we know that that there's interest and there's need, and they would do well. There's potential, but we just aren't getting the right combination of effort and strategies up to this point. So we want to do that. So remember that task force that I will be convening after early February, when we have the bond election. Yes.
Will an email reminder be sent out?
Yes, absolutely. I just can't start it now because we've got the bond work to work on. But absolutely I will, and I'd love to have as many of you who would like to join participate in the task force. Yes?
How does this disparity in gender graduation rates compare to the national average?
Oh, I think it's a lot higher. I don't know if Yash can speak to that, because he's our research guru.
So nationally, it's a similar challenge across the country. You know, if you look at our just overall enrollment, generally speaking, male students are only about a 1/3, a little bit higher than that. And so there's that challenge. But in particular, if you look at just the graduation rate, one of the things we've been really successful, as Dr. Cervantes mentioned, is really helping people graduate, but it seemed to be focused more in the female areas. And so nationally, there's been some conversation about what can we continue to do to sort of try to close the achievement gap. So it is aligned. Nationally, they're doing slightly better than we're doing. But I think that's some of the things we could really work together as a community, as SFCC, to try to focus and try to close those achievement gaps. So thanks for your question.
Very good, very good. And, you know, recently there's been programs put together for males to improve their progress in education, you know, from African American, you know, and Latinos, all students of color. So we need to do the same thing here because we need to make progress and you know, increase the completion rate, et cetera. So this is just a graph that shows that, you know, large segments of jobs across the nation and here in New Mexico require more than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year degree. So there's about 51% that are in that category. So we're in the right place in terms of offering, you know, 2-year certificates and 2-year degrees, and certificates that prepare students for the workforce and for the jobs that are the most, in most demand. We're working to get the message out so that students know that, you know, they don't have to go to a 4-year college. They can come to SFCC and be prepared for the workplace, continue on if they so choose from the certificate to the 2-year degree, and then if they still want, they can go on. We're working on articulation agreements with many of our partners so that students can continue on having wonderful success at the Higher Education Center with our, particularly with Highlands, and then Northern is also on the, working with us too, and very enthusiastic, very supportive. Okay, I just wanted 2 examples of our successful students. Azucena Garcia, AAS in respiratory care. You know, she lived in Los Lunas and had to commute, took the rail runner, worked really diligently to get here, and she succeeded. She's got her AAS in respiratory care and working at Christus St. Vincent Hospital. Then we also have Eric Varela. We've got pictures of him all around the college, who got an AAS in welding technology. Hooray, Jake, whoever you are, for supporting him and his work. And, you know, he wanted to initially go for a 4-year degree, but then realized it really wasn't going to pay off at the level he wanted. And I think I heard he was making like 50, did I hear 53,000? Or maybe it's even more, in his welding job that he received upon finishing his degree here. So hooray for Eric and Azucena. And many, many other students. These are just 2 that we wanted to focus on. The next piece has to do with campus safety and our PA system. So there's a lot more that is going on. I met with the assistant sheriff and Noe before the holiday, and there will be an active shooter training tomorrow, I believe it is, at 9 o'clock, that the sheriff in here will be providing. And then our PA system, you know, we did a lot of testing to make sure that if there was an emergency, we knew about it. And Erica, do you want to add any more to it, please? Thank you.
Sure. Good morning. We're finishing the last task for our PA system project. We are going to be scheduling fire drills as well as PA system drills for the HEC. We're going to be adding more equipment around campus and at HEC to complete the project. And we're also working on our procedures for the PA system. And lastly, you're going to hear more tests around campus, and we're finishing our hyperspike.
Any questions? Thank you, Erica. Great job. Great job to you and the entire team. So another benefit that is rolling out this month is our Employee Assistance Program. And this was adopted and paid for after the approval of the board earlier in the fall semester. And this is a really important benefit that all of us can utilize. for any need that we may have in our personal or professional life. You get confidential emotional support, counseling, grief, loss, and other life adjustments that we have to go through. Many of these things interfere with our personal lives, with our professional life, and we have help now through the EAP program. Alicia, do you want to? There's going to be a training, right? Is it this week? Come on up. She'll just touch on a few things. But every college I've been at has one of these EAP programs, and now we do too. So take advantage of it. It's free to you and excellent services. Alicia,
Yes, Alicia.
go ahead. Huerta, HR.
Thank you. Yes, we are going to have a webinar this Thursday in the lecture hall, room 216, and it's going to be from 12 p.m. to 1. If most of you are not able to attend, we will have we will record the webinar and be available on Jack for everybody. And the posters that you see up here, I'll put it where you signed in this morning. So if you want to grab one, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions for the representative of ComPsych.
And there's a toll-free number that you can call, which is on this handout that she's going to have back there where you signed in. So take a flyer, become familiar with it, come to the webinar on Thursday or the recording. Thank you, Alicia. Any questions? I think you'll be finding more about it. And I know the board members asked me over the holiday whether we already had the 800 number. They asked me after around the 27th, and we just got it, I believe, at the beginning of the year. Fabulous, a great, great benefit. Let's see. And there's the webinar information once again. January 11th, 12 to 1 in room 216. So the next piece has to do with our new greenhouse. So the newly constructed greenhouse provides students state-of-the-art classroom and laboratory facilities for training in a controlled environment, in the Controlled Environment Agriculture Program. Henry, do you have a few things to add about it, please?
Thank you all. Welcome back. Good morning. Just want to really be excited and pleased to announce that the greenhouse facility is nearing completion. We're just about to complete the design and construction project. It's about a 11,000 square foot greenhouse facility that's going to allow aquaponic and hydroponic greenhouse training and teaching operations and activities. Along with the greenhouse facility, we have a 1,300 square foot classroom training facility, and that facility will be open for spring classes January 15th, 16th. We're going to be integrating and adding energy assets, generators, batteries, and other infrastructure assets to the greenhouse through the Economic Development Association grant, part of the EDA grant, so we'll be working on that project next. But for all intents and purposes, the greenhouse and greenhouse classroom facility are nearing completion, and they'll be ready for operation come spring and for sure come the summer classes. Thank you all, and thanks to all the POMs and Camilla and her team at TATC for really helping and getting this project moving forward and getting it near completion. Thank you all.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Henry, and everybody who worked on this. We're all about instruction, so when we get new instructional resources, we are thrilled. Another important resource at SFCC is our foundation. And what a landmark year we've had. $10,000 scholarship from the Consulate of Mexico, IME Beca grants for scholarships, $180,000 raised for the Firstborn program, $150,000 for the Con Alma Foundation multi-year grant for a licensed practical nurse career pathway high school curriculum. This is fabulous. We'll be getting more high school students into LPN track and nursing. And then the foundation has raised $513,904 from, that's in addition to the top three that I read, from July 1 through December 31st. This is $178,000 more than last year at this very same time. Thank you, Deborah, and all your team. Wow. So critical. Our students need these resources to continue their education, so we appreciate your commitment, your focus, and your enthusiasm. Thank you. The other thing I wanted you to know about, and I mentioned it briefly, is last Thursday on the 4th, we had a legislative breakfast so that I could meet our local legislative delegation. So we invited, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 folks. I'm going to still meet the Speaker of the House, what's his name, Bruce Egolf, this week. Brian, I'm sorry, I can't read, it's very small. There he is, there it is, Brian, excuse me. And Stephanie wasn't able to make it, but all the rest of them came. So we had an excellent turnout, 7 legislators, representatives, and senators. And we did a PowerPoint presentation about the highlights and successes of the college. And we talked about how they can help us regarding some of the funds that we could use for capital improvements. We talked about that. So it went very, very well. I appreciate everyone who was there, the team. We met over at the Higher Education Center with Director Estrada. And it was a success. So I just want you to know I sent follow-up thank you letters to each of them and to the ones who didn't come. And we'll be visiting with them at the Capitol soon. So the next piece I wanted to share with you, you kind of have an idea what I've been working on, but I wanted you to see the goals that I had identified in conjunction with the governing board. And there's 4 principal goals that I'll be working on this 10 months is left that I'll be here. The first highest priority is the bond election. And I'll be doing everything I can, making speaking engagements, meeting with groups around, talking internally also in order to ensure that we have a successful bond election. We're also working on our very first collective bargaining agreement, and so I've been working with our team and with the faculty in order to move this forward. We're meeting and working diligently to agree on this very first collective bargaining agreement. You've heard about student success, and that's been an ongoing goal for the college, and that's something that I care deeply about. And so want to do everything I can in supporting Achieving the Dream, increasing dual enrollment and other pathway programs, increasing persistence and completion for our students, especially, as I said earlier, Hispanic males. So I need your help on that task force we'll be kicking off. And then finally, continuing to implement our college strategic plan. So these are basically, the efforts that are underway from my part. But I can't do it alone. All of you are part of the solution and part of the accomplishments, and I seriously and sincerely welcome all of your support and participation in helping me accomplish these goals. And now I would like to invite Nick Day, Vice President of Finance and Chief Financial Officer, to share with you some updates regarding finances. How are you? Good.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 2018. I'm excited for the new year and also excited to be halfway done with the fiscal year. The financial operations of the college works on a fiscal year, July through June, and so while we begin a new year, we're halfway done with our work here. So it is hard to believe that half of the academic year and the budget year is complete. It actually seems like we just finalized the current year budget. And if you remember back, the process that led up to this year. This year's budget was very difficult and unusual due to back a year ago, the governor, or right around a year ago, the governor vetoed the entire higher education budget. So that's what we were facing in terms of what we were doing in order to get this budget in place. And if you remember, after that veto, there was a special legislative session where the legislature came together and agreed upon a budget and for higher education, and the governor signed that budget. And that is the revenue chart that you have. I guess I'm supposed to be flipping through here, yeah. So that's the revenue chart that you're seeing there. The green part of the donut chart is the state appropriation, which is about $9.6 million, and that's 28% of our revenue budget. Tuition and fees makes up about 22% of our revenues that the college generates. And the local appropriation, which is local mill levy property taxes, makes up about 49%. And so that's what the revenue budget looks like for instruction in general. On the expense side, you can see that we have allocated about 46% to instruction, and that's about $15 million. For academic support, we have allocated 11%, and student services about 10%. That makes up about 67% of the entire budget that goes to direct student success sort of activities from the financial perspective. So this year's budget is definitely stable, but we're still not seeing the revenue growth that we need to see in terms of being able to keep up with ever increasing expenses. You know, the challenge from finance is that you do have consistent revenues coming in, but with inflation on insurances and different things that continue to, financial expenses that continue to grow, it makes it challenged to make sure that everything fits together. So this brings us to the financial picture for this year. The Office of the State Auditor has released the FY17 audit for Sfcc, and I'm happy to announce that the results were very favorable for us. Thank you. The FY17 audit only had one finding, so that's something we like to celebrate. This is a really great improvement from 2012, when the college was going through some serious financial issues, and we had 21 findings at that time. That's 21. And so I have to recognize the finance department, who has worked incredibly hard over the years. Being able to correct an audit with 21 findings is definitely not an easy feat, and it's certainly not accomplished overnight in any way. So if I could ask the finance department staff members to stand up. So while we do have some positive financial improvements, at the same time, we do still have our challenges. Our top priority moving forward really needs to be to build cash reserves for the college. As many of you are familiar, the graph behind me is known as the Valley of Death chart. So it's funny, but it's really not that funny. So the chart represents, the red line represents expenses throughout the year and how they kind of fluctuate up and down every month. And then the blue bar parts of the chart show the available cash in bank, cash reserves, and how that flows throughout the year. So the important thing to look at is November. At November, you have expenses that are just right about at the amount of cash we have. And so this past November is very stressful for us, and from the financial perspective, we always have to really manage cash and have a close understanding of what's happening with the flow of cash in and out of our bank account. And so we're just not where we need to be in terms of having that available cash balance to get us through that November time period. I'd just like to point out that new things happen. It's pretty big, especially for us in finance. The college has a new banking relationship with Century Bank, and the college, we just started using this bank account on January 1st. And moving to this new bank was an initiative of the governing board where we wanted to see if we could procure some banking services locally. And it all worked out. Century Bank is a local community bank, and I think that this really shows SFC's commitment to strengthening the community. So that's something that we're proud of, and we're already off to working a really good working relationship with the local individuals with our bank. As we move forward and plan for the FY19 budget, this month we are beginning the process of developing the FY19 budget. The current year FY18 budget will be the starting point. We really need to commit to increasing cash reserves as a priority for the upcoming budget as we put that together. For the FY19 budget, we expect revenues to be flat. It's not likely that we will see any new dollars from the state. And the process for the budget will include prioritizing requests in the event that funds do become available. Requests will be reviewed by the FOC, which is the Financial Oversight Committee, and the process will align college resources with strategic priorities listed in the Sfcc strategic plan. Capital projects and technology projects will have separate processes as well. We will be sending out communications on the budget process in the upcoming 2 weeks. I really would like for you guys and encourage you to participate in the FOC, that's the Financial Oversight Committee. We discussed a lot of financial issues for the college, budget discussions, and it's always a lively conversation in that committee. The committee meets every Monday at noon before the governing board meeting. And so that meeting takes place in the governing board room. And as you've already heard, most of you know that there is an upcoming bond election for SFCC that is critically important to the financial viability of the college and the health of the institution. So, I'd like you all to encourage you all to really participate in that effort and help support that initiative. And I think that Dr. Cervantes and Todd Lovato will be talking about that now. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Nick and all his team. You know, when I came, I arrived during the time. I arrived during the time of the Valley of Death. They told me about it, but I have to say they didn't scare me away, and worked very professionally in order to meet all financial obligations during that challenging time. So thank you for your professionalism, positive efforts, and your competence. And thank you. Let's applaud them one more time. The other question I have is, do you have any updates for us regarding the state budget? And maybe you mentioned it while I went out to get yogurt, but
Just real briefly, I've been to a couple of Legislative Finance Committee meetings, and it's early in the process. The legislature starts, I believe, right around January 20th, so it's right around the corner. But the 16th. What's that? The 16th? 16th. Thank you for that. So what I've I've learned is that the state budget has improved from last year. However, and it's because oil and gas revenues have been improving over the year. And so there is new money. However, the hole was sort of dug so deep that this year the discussion is to have to fill in those cash reserves that they had to basically utilize in order to support this current year budget. So they're talking about not a lot of new money or for budget expansion, so to speak. And that money is really going to go to fill in the cash reserves that have been utilized in the past. There will be, it sounds like from the legislative meeting, we heard from our delegation that there's about $100 million in capital outlay. And so that's good for facilities. However, that doesn't help us on our operational side of our budget. So with that, that's what I know in a nutshell.
And that's another reason the bond election is so important, since we're asking approval to move some of the revenue over into operational, and we'll get into that more in just a minute. But I do have to say, again, this is the first time I've been here at a legislative breakfast, but I thought the legislators kind of were breathing a sigh of relief that we had some cash reserves to work with, even though we may not all get everything we want. It's a better place to be than in a deficit situation. So that was good. Yes. Question?
One is, I believe the Century Bank is offering a special account for employees.
Is Century Bank offering a special account for employees?
If we can ask Amy to help.
Yes, they are. They'll be coming on campus to start getting people signed up. They'll be having tables set up in the hallway. They'll be going to employee orientation. Talking about it. I think it's called
Premier account, so there will be special accounts, and they'll be on campus informing us about them. And they'll get something out. Will students be able to participate? Okay, one more question, yes.
understand the state legislature is looking at 1% raises for state employees, and I'd like to know if we're looking at raises for our employees, since we haven't had a raise in quite some time.
Will the state employee raise translate into one here?
It won't translate to us.
Well,
Exactly.
not exactly, but will we look? I mean, I want us to look.
It is hard to answer that question at this point during the year. You don't know until the legislature starts what they're going to do, if the state employees will even get that raise. It has to go through the process, so we'll be paying a close attention to that. I have heard that there could potentially be that COLA for state employees and potentially higher ed as well.
We hope so. So we've really got to move on. We're going to have a question and answer after this, but I want I want the bond piece to have sufficient time because it's so critical. So let me invite Todd Lovato, Executive Director of Marketing, to come forward to begin the discussion on the 2018 bond election.
Thank you. Happy 2018. Happy New Year. You ready? Feeling good? Feeling loose? Ready to get your bond on? I wrote that down. It's part of my talking points. So it's my job basically to come up with a bunch of platitudes like invest in your future or invest in higher education for the future. But I just want to ask you all, who was here in the 2006, 2007 for that bond election? Raise your hand if you were. So a lot of you. Who was here in 2010 when we had that bond election? So if you would, just think about the outcomes of those efforts. Both of those bonds passed. We have Health and Sciences Center, Trades and Events Technology Center, Higher Education Center. Those are all the fruits of those bond efforts, right? So here we are again. It's almost 8 years later, and we're due for a bond election. And so today we're going to talk to you a little bit more about what we're doing, what we're asking the community. We want you after this to ask questions. We have material for you. So come to Marketing and Public Relations. It doesn't have to be right after this, but in the coming week, and we will sit down and we'll talk with you, make sure you're feeling good about talking this to the community. Nick's slide, one of them showed local appropriations was 50% for the college. That's significant support from the community. The community has supported us over the years to say, we support you. We have a strong relationship with Santa Fe, and that's the result of your hard work, of our hard work, of doing a good job, right? So what we need to do now is kind of cash in on some of those goodwill chips and get out there and educate our people about this election, which is vital to the college at this point, especially with our discussion about state appropriations. I'd like to introduce Patty Watson from CWA Strategic Communications. She is unrivaled in the state in terms of her relationship with community colleges and bond elections. So please, a warm welcome for Patty.
Thank you. In addition to working on the statewide higher education bonds for the past 3 election cycles, we've also worked with Central New Mexico Community College, San Juan Community College. But I have to tell you, you guys, in my estimation, have the best story to tell. One of the hardest things that when I go out to a bond is if they say, well, we're going to improve the campus. And I say, well, what are you going to do? These guys have it down. One of the other things is I say, well, have you made any achievement, any strides? Well, you guys have doubled your graduation rate, you've doubled your graduation numbers, and you really are a great institution. So I understand why the community supports you, but let's talk about what you can do to help us get this bond passed. Oops. Okay. So the goals of our education, and we call it voter outreach and education because really to get people to vote on the bond, they need to understand what it's for. So we want to educate the community on why it's needed. We want to encourage voters to vote. This is a big deal because voting numbers in off-year elections, February elections, municipal elections, are very low. And let's face it, you guys are like trying to set a record for most elections in a year, as near as I can tell. I mean, so that's an issue. Voter fatigue can be an issue. We want to target what we call high propensity voters. How many of you vote in every single election for which you're eligible? Okay, you're our audience, but we want to get those people who do vote to go out and vote in this election. And then what Todd was talking about, we want to reinforce them. We want to remind them why you are such a valuable community asset. So, what's my biggest message for everything about the bond? Anybody want to guess? No tax increase. That's basically it. As any of you who live here have seen, voters don't like tax increases. I don't like tax increases. So that's got to be an education. And because this one is a little complex, because we're asking voters to raise your operational mill while they drop your debt levy mill, we have this graphic, and we'll talk about how you can talk about it in just a minute. But it is complex because there are 2 ballot questions, and voters need to vote on both of them for this to equal out and happen. So they need to vote on 2 ballot questions this year. So what would they do? Basically, they'd allow you to raise your operating mill, and a mill is basically based on 1,000 of assessed value, from 3 to 3.5, and then decrease the debt service mill by approving the $17 million in funding. Am I close enough? Okay. So that's all they need to do. To balance this out and make sure there's no tax increase, they need to vote on both questions. The net effect is no changes to the total tax rate. I know it's confusing, and if you read the bond language, it can be really confusing, but the message is vote on both issues. You have to vote on both. Okay, what's the funding needed for? I had one college call me up and say, we want a big bond, and I said, what are you going to do? And they said, improve things. And I said, well, you know, I think people want to know what their money's going to. So we have some really good things to talk about this time. We have the new Automotive Technology Center. We have renovations to the William C. Witter Fitness Education Center, which, by the way, seniors in your community use this center a lot. And I called a few of them up, and they told me everything they thought you needed to do. So pretty much, I heard a lot of things. So definitely, this is a popular message. If you know any seniors, tell them they're going to get a lot of renovations to the center. Technology upgrades. I was sitting by a student government leader, and she was kind of just listening to everything, and I said, improved Wi-Fi. And her eyes lit up. Wi-Fi? You mean you'd get better Wi-Fi? So technology upgrades, classroom improvements. Some of your classrooms can definitely need some improvements. And then infrastructure improvements, parking, roofs. I actually had one bond issue where I was able to photograph people being rained on in class. So, you know, you need these infrastructure because it's an investment in what you've already built. And then finally, if somebody says, boy, you're always asking us for money. No, you're not. It's been 8 years since you did a bond issue. 8 years. So, the Automotive Center. This started when Northern New Mexico College closed their program, and it's really was the only one in the region. It's needed to meet workforce demand. One of the things you guys do great is you look at what's needed in the community, and then you develop programs. And this is really one where my understanding is the auto dealers were hiring out-of-state workers because they couldn't get anybody trained. I recently had a 22-year-old who was texting run into my car in Albuquerque. I took it in to be repaired and thought about the no texting rule. But anyway, I took it in to be repaired, and the auto guy said, you know, it's going to be a week and a half. And I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, we don't have enough people to work on your car. So I experienced firsthand what it's like, and it was a week and a half. And I ended up with a chrome bumper, and I feel like I've got jewelry I didn't even order, but at least I got it back. So why are you building a new facility? One of the big issues people always ask is, well, why are you building more brick and mortar when you've got all these online programs? This has to be built because there's no space on campus that'll accommodate it. There's nothing. When you think about the thickness of the floors, the exhaust systems you need, and the heavy loads, you really have to build a facility. And there's nothing on campus that could be renovated, and there's no space for rent or purchase in the community. With this automotive center, you'll be able to double the amount of graduates you help get careers every year. So it's a big deal. The William C. Witter Fitness Education Center, as I said, it's popular with the community. It's long overdue. And pool repairs, new exercise fitness equipment, new gym flooring and seating, and an interior and exterior facelift. This is something definitely you're better serving the needs of the community. One person said to me that they really couldn't afford to go work out anywhere else, and they had arthritis, and they need this center. Technology upgrades. You need an enhanced security infrastructure, modernizing the information system, upgrading to industry standard serving solutions, and the students' favorite, and probably some of the faculty too, improving wireless capabilities. So let's talk about what you're doing on campus. You're doing new fixtures and furnishings for classrooms in the fashion design, art and media arts, metal fabrication lab, and you're doing upgrades to and expansion of film program facilities. And with the closing of the other university, guys, you're it. You're it in this community, if you think about it. So that's a really important program that you're going to be working on. Current facilities, look at these lovely pictures. We always ask everybody, send us the worst pictures you've got. But these are pretty bad. You need wide roads, you need parking, you need sidewalks, you need roof and HVAC systems. It's really hard to learn when you're freezing or broiling, last time I checked. I mean, people need to be in comfortable classrooms. You need building, lighting, and power. And let's face it, some of your Your interiors and exteriors need some renovation. So let's talk about how you're an asset. You partner with all sorts of businesses around the community. You offer educational programs that meet their demands. So when you're out talking to businesses, you're helping them. You've doubled the graduation rate, doubled the number of graduates, and I had 88%, I think the other slide had 89, but what that means is more than 4 out of 5 people who graduate either go on to a career or they go on to a 4-year institution. I got to tell you, none of the 4-year institutions I work with have anywhere close to those numbers. And that gets back to that whole 50% of jobs, you are actually training people and educating them for those jobs. So you really do help people get on the right path. And then you finally increase the associate's degrees awarded by 154% in the past 5 years. So you have a lot of really good successes to talk about. So we do have a brochure, and I didn't realize this gentleman was so famous. But I will tell you, when we saw his picture, we went, that's a great picture. So he's there. We also have a standalone website, which Todd and his folks have been working on, votesfcc.com. We're doing what's called a newspaper insert. It's a 4-page, more of a larger format report. It'll be in the Santa Fe, New Mexican next Sunday. We'll have some overruns that we can distribute throughout campus. We also will have a 30-second radio spot in English by students in English and Spanish. I don't know about you, but I like to hear from students because they're really who benefits. So that'll be who recorded. And then we have these lovely buttons. Who else wearing their buttons? I want to thank Todd and his crew for putting these. Please wear your buttons. I know not everybody likes to wear them, but at least for the next few weeks, if you can wear them, it just reminds people they might ask you, and you might be able to talk to them. So please wear your buttons. Okay, so let's talk about who are high propensity voters. They vote in almost every election. So we're doing 2 direct mailings to them. One will be timed to early voting, one will be timed to election day, and they'll go out to about 15,000 households here in Santa Fe. We're also coordinating on an absentee chase program with the Santa Fe County Clerk. Every day, I'll get a list of anybody who's requested an absentee ballot, and we'll be able to mail a postcard to them, reminding them to vote. We'll also geofence. So if you get a message on your phone, that's from us. We'll geofence around polling places and other places, and we'll also geofence to those high propensity voters. So they'll get messages on their mobile, their phones or their mobile tablets, and they'll appear when they come within a certain amount, close proximity to these zip codes. And they'll be retargeted through the campaign as needed. Auto dials, we all love auto dials. I don't know how many of you get those, but we don't have the politicians record them. We have the students record them. They're a lot more believable, and I know everybody says they hate them, but they work. So we will be doing auto dials, again, to those high propensity voters, and we'll do students, and they target live and voicemails. Media relations, my understanding is we'll be meeting with the Santa Fe New Mexican today and the other newspapers to talk about why they should support or endorse the bond. And we'll also get people booked on radio station interviews. So that'll be coming up next couple of weeks. So how can you help? We have an on-campus voting location. It's in this building, lower level room. I think it's on the brochure. 307. So go vote. Go vote. And please encourage all your peers, all your classes to vote. If we can get the people who support the bond out, who are in this room, and all your friends and family, that's a big step forward. There will be people who just say, no, I'm not going to support the bond, and there's nothing you can do about those people, but if you can get all of the people in your universe out, that's a huge difference. So talk to your friends, family, and you don't need to be a huge rah-rah, but you have a lot. You can just say, go vote, please. This will really benefit us and the campus and the community. If you belong to a church or any organization, ask them if they'd like literature or if they'd be willing to send an email blast to their membership. We can get them an email blast. And then get those requests to Todd so that we can coordinate them. And then we have a website, as I said. We have the Facebook page, we have Twitter, and you can call Todd. I didn't put his cell phone out. No, I hope that's not your cell phone, is it? But anyway, the bottom line is it is an important bond, and we really need to mobilize everybody we can. Because, as I said, the ballot language is a little confusing. Not that everybody who votes on anything reads everything, but we need them to vote on both issues, both bond questions, and we really need to get people out. It's a short time frame, and there's a lot of election fatigue. So, questions? Yes?
So on the ballot, they both answer both questions, yes?
Yes.
That's it, simple.
Yep, that's all you do is approve. It's an approve, right? I think it's approve or yes. Do you remember the language? It's favor? Okay, favor. Favor, yes. Uh-huh.
What was the total number of voters in the last two bond elections? And two, is the mill levy change permanent?
Okay, I can't, the mill levy change, would it be permanent? Yes. Okay, and I think there was really low turnout. I know in the 2010 election it was maybe a couple of thousand because it was just you, right?
It was around 8,000 or 9,000, and the early voting for was 900 and some for, and about 70 against.
Yeah. This time we also have a Santa Fe Public Schools bond issue on the ballot. They'll be side by side, is my understanding. And that is a no tax increase bond too. So that's good. But early voting has continued to increase in every single election, and that's why it's so important to get everybody out early to vote yes. Yes.
What if they vote for the decrease but not for the increase?
Yeah.
So-
There's two questions. One is to decrease the mill levy. The other is to vote for 17 million. Is that right? So what if you vote?
Wants to increase the mill levy.
What if you decrease and then you don't vote to increase? What happens?
Then $17 million in bonds are issued, and the operating side to the college does not increase.
So we will still get money.
We will still get the capital funds. We will not have basically the even note. And it could potentially go the opposite way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, could taxes go down? Worst case scenario?
I will tell you, in 2012, the statewide higher education bond failed. I didn't work on that, so I'm happy to talk about it, of course. But anyway, it failed. So 33 counties, taxes didn't go down in a single county. When we came back in 2014, they were still at the same rate they were. So could it go down? Yes. Has it ever gone down? No. Governments have a really good way of finding ways to spend money. So I've just never seen it go down. Yeah. Back row? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Correct. They did consolidated places, and I don't know why they chose what they chose. I don't have any... we didn't have any input on that. They chose to consolidate polling places for both early and in-person voting. And I don't know. I was kind of surprised about that myself, but the county clerk chose the places. So I agree. They should have put one in Pewaukee. Yeah. And it is Santa Fe County. Yes. Anybody else? Yes.
Are there some interviews scheduled with the campus radio?
Thank you. Yes, we'll be scheduling interviews. Also, Zuby Wilson has we've been coordinating with him on his show, so thank you for that. But there'll also be some other outreach to the KSFR, just various hosts of the talk shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're also working to get information out through the churches, the libraries, civic clubs, Rancho Viejo, everything we can think of. But again, if you have a group or an organization and they're willing to either send out an email or they want some brochures, please let Todd know. For example, I believe one of our board members, Linda Siegel, has arranged to get some brochures distributed through the Democratic Party. So we'll be working with the board members also. So please help. It really is important for your cash reserves and everything else to get both of these measures passed, because if we're trying to raise the cash reserves while the $17 million is great, it won't help, right? Exactly. So if we want the cash reserves to go up, we need both measures.
And so, I mean, the big thing to think about is that the big thing to think about is really the state budget cuts that we've received over the past couple of years has kind of kept everything really stagnant for the college. Like I mentioned, as tuition has increased slightly and local mill has increased slightly, that has state appropriations have gone down, so therefore it's basically a wash. And so to address those budget cuts, we really need this change to the operating mill. So it would be very helpful.
Oh, and you'll notice that we say vote on, and there's a very specific reason. Under state law, depending on how something is funded, we can either say vote on or vote for. For example, if there was a private PAC, we could say vote for, but we're saying vote on. Vote on is important because most people hear it as vote for. What's not good is vote against. Don't ever say vote against. That's a no-no. But if you can you'll notice that all our literature is vote on. Now, as a private citizen, you can certainly talk to your friends and family. We just can't put it out in writing from the college. So, please advocate, because you are the strongest ambassadors for this college as well as the students, because you know what it is. And I will tell you, just being here, you got a cool place here, guys, and it's really time to celebrate. And I mean, I've never been to a convocation that was so personal. They're usually all about facts and figures and numbers, and you actually took the time to share. So please, vote early. I'm not going to say vote often because I think that's illegal, but vote early. And vote on campus, and there are other and anybody can vote at any polling place. They're consolidated, so you can vote anywhere that's on the list. But please, vote, get your friends and family to vote, get the organizations you're involved with aware of this, and let's pass this by a huge margin. Wouldn't that be a cool way to start 2018? Okay. Thank you. I think there was another question. Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure who this would apply to, but I know that some people that would be very interested in this are the surrounding communities based on the future connection, Southeast connection with Rabbit Road to the college. And I actually have a neighborhood that's organized to work with that, and they seem to have run up against a wall of communication with us on our cooperating in positive ways. So that would bring huge amounts of support and
Let Todd know, and we'll make sure that we reach out to him. And if you have ideas about who we should be talking to, let us know. We will. We'll talk to anybody about this. So, anybody else? Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and let's get our bond on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patty. As you know, Todd and his team are outstanding, and we have asked Patty and her company to work in conjunction with us so that we have even that much more success with a bond. You all are critical. As Patty mentioned, not only will you be voting, but encourage your family to vote and others who aren't here and your friends. As was mentioned, we will be connecting and have efforts going in the neighboring communities, El Dorado and Rancho Viejo, the churches close by. All of that, are voters that particularly know the good things we do and are positively impacted, so they're more likely to vote on. The 6th, of course, is the election day, but early voting begins, as is on the brochure, January 17th through February 3rd, and absentee voting January 12th through February 2nd. And then, of course, as Patty mentioned, you can vote here on campus in room, 307, in room 307. Todd will be placing signage so that people that are visiting on campus or the seniors at the fitness center can get over to the west part of the building in order to vote over in 307. So every effort will be in place, and we need your assistance too if you see somebody looking for 307. You know what's best if you actually take them. Don't just point, but take them over to the room. I mean, that's the best way for someone who doesn't know his or her way around. So I know that you all care deeply. It's been 8 years since we had a bond election. So it's not like we're going every year and asking for money. This is, we've been waiting and planning very purposely in order to come forward with our biggest needs. We did try and get more money, but we weren't successful in terms of going out for over 30 million. But we have a plan so that some of the capital construction that we would have addressed if we'd gotten the full 30 million, we will do in phase 2 the next time out. So it's fine, and automotive is the most critical right now in getting that center built, as well as some of the other needs that we have. So we will have, yes, Jill.
If you'd like to ask questions or work on this in a smaller group, Staff Senate will be hosting a group of 11 in this week.
Great, and you can stay on and ask more questions. So we have a little bit more here to wrap up, and we'll have time for other questions that you might have. So Josh is helping me here with this PowerPoint. And we have a fabulous student success video. This is our real commitment to help our students succeed. My passion, we're here, we succeed if they succeed. So let us see this video.
When I finish the program, I'll get my associates in respiratory care.
I've learned how to stick weld, I've learned how to TIG weld, and oxyacetylene weld.
I would really like to write and film an independent comedy.
My experience over here at Santa Fe Community College has been wonderful.
The class sizes are much smaller than a big university, and the teachers are hands-on.
My classmates were great, the teachers were really supportive.
When you need help with something, they're there to help you, and they have tutoring, they have computer labs.
I had heard in the community about Sfcc, and it's just been incredible how affordable it is. People care about why they're here, and it kind of shines through in every aspect of the culture.
It's very important for me to graduate. I'll be getting my associates, and I will be working in the hospital helping patients.
I've worked really hard over these past few years, and I'm really excited about graduation day.
So, yay. I think this video captures why I have been in community college education for 40 years, and I bet it also reflects your love for being at the 2-year college level, because we can impact students' lives so greatly and in a short turnaround time, and they can continue on. We've got them hooked in education. That's what I love about community colleges, and it's an excellent video for conveying that. So thanks again, Todd, for your staff's work in helping to convey what's so great about SFCC. So we do have time for questions. Are there any? We've had questions all along, but there may be others that you've been saving. Sir, I think you had a question on the bank or something. I can't remember. Did you? They answered it. Okay, I didn't want to forget you. Other questions that anybody has? We're right on schedule. Yes, there's one back there. Mm-hmm. Right, you, ma'am. Mm-hmm. It's Marcy. I'm sorry. I didn't recognize. I'll be there. I'll be there. Excellent. And what's the room number for AAUP? 221, Marcy. I didn't recognize you. Good to see you. Please go if you can. One back there, yes, Malvina, and then up here. Mm-hmm. He's got a success story. Oh, fantastic. Can you repeat his name again?
Yes. Rafael Treviso works for us on grounds staff. My name is Melvina Cannon, and he is taking his exam tomorrow. I want to encourage him to become an American citizen.
Fantastic. Yay. Thank you for sharing. I think there was a question over here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from the art department, and we had heard that University of New Mexico was interested in the campus from the University of Arts and Design.
Yes.
And we had also heard that our school was going to be stakeholders in this program, in this possibility, but the faculty in Arts and Design are in the dark about this, and we'd really like to know what's going on.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rebecca Estrada, Executive Director for the Higher Ed Center and Academic Partnerships. Honestly, thank you for the question, Laura, and the truth is we don't know. What we can say for sure is raffles. For those of you who are unaware of some of the history that happened with the Santa Fe University of Art and Design closing, Raffles was the education consortium that wanted to come in from China because there were issues with being able to keep accreditation. They had initially backed out. They have since submitted a proposal to the University of New Mexico to see how they can actually work in concert with UNM to utilize portions, if not all of the space at the Santa Fe University of Art and Design, focusing on fine arts, design, and other types of, again, just sort of design and arts programs. We have not seen that proposal yet. There was one initial conversation prior to the previous president's retiring that included myself, Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs Margaret Peters, and past President Randy Grissom, where they sat down with us and said, might we be interested in having a seat at the table for the conversation? We said absolutely, but other than that, we really haven't seen the proposal. We don't know. They have mentioned us. Some of the obvious things that were discussed in that October meeting included articulation agreements, faculty sharing, things like that. But again, at this point, we have not seen Raffles' official proposal to UNM, and we have not had a follow-up discussion. So, and sorry for the voice, obviously I'm fighting something off. So obviously, as we are more involved and we have been given more information, I am happy to pass that on. But given the very preliminary nature of the conversation at this point and the fact that we have not seen or been privy to any of the meetings at UNM, I unfortunately can't give you more information than that at this time. Anything else on that? Oh yeah, sorry. So as we had that initial conversation, what I can tell you came to light was a couple of things. Raffles did not understand the distinction initially between a community college and a four-year university, which is why we were initially invited at the table. As soon as they realized we gave associate's degrees, our role became slightly less it just was less of a priority, given what they're really trying to do is focus on bringing the students that they see as a new market, particularly again in arts and design programs. They would really like to recruit students from Indonesia, China, and India to come here to experience the cultural art landscape that's happening here. They really see that as a growing and emerging market that they want to tap. They're also looking at how they can bring certain out-of-state students who might also want to be part of that. But given that, they felt like it was really important that they focus on bachelor's and maybe even post-baccalaureate, but really they want to focus on bachelor's programs at this time. But again, that means there could be some very good articulation opportunities and some other partnership opportunities. And what we did put on the table was we saw their price tag. And so the one priority we did have for being at the table is if we're going to seamlessly transfer our students into that program, should it come to fruition, they better have a good discount and a lot of scholarship opportunities. So that is the one thing we did put on the table. Well, if they partner with UNM, it would technically be UNM. So because Raffles, again, does not have accreditation in the United States. Now, they do have partnerships that look like this in other countries. They highlighted some successes they've had in places like the UK, Australia, I believe, was the other one. This would be their first attempt at this in the United States. But it would be under the accreditation and the flagship of UNM. So it would be a UNM endeavor. And that is, again, if UNM accepts their proposal, which we don't know if they have, and if everyone can actually get on board and agree. None that I am aware of. I do not know if that partnership has to go through legislation. My understanding would be probably not. Because the regents of UNM are going to be the ones who have to approve it. And as the regents are their governing body, it's not necessarily a new school coming in a partnership. So just for example, for those of you who are aware of what's happening at the Higher Education Center, we are having to wait for state authorization for 2 new partners to come in. This would not fall under that category because this would be UNM using UNM's curriculum, with some enhancements from Raffles, money from Raffles, and some other administrative things from Raffles, but it is UNM. It's not a new program. It's not necessarily going to be billed as a new campus, although we'll have to see how that would all work out, but it would not have to go through, as we understand it, a legislative process. You're welcome. Yes, and the city has currently been involved in those conversations. Now, how supportive I couldn't tell you. We weren't at the table for those conversations, but we do know there have been multiple conversations with the city.
Thank you. Gilbert? Oh.
They wouldn't call it a branch campus. That's where they're getting out. So because it wouldn't be a full branch campus and they wouldn't necessarily have to put in a full new administration, that's where the Raffles piece comes in. So, but let me just be careful. We don't know all the details and some of that may still be left to be seen. So what I will say is you may end up being right. The way it's been presented to us in that one meeting that we were a part of, was that would not be the case. But again, do they know all the details and what it would actually entail? I don't know that they entirely do. It was very early on in the conversation in October where we were at the table. Some of that may have changed. Excuse me. Oh, sorry.
Another interesting variable is that UNM is getting a new president in March. So who knows what she will do in terms of moving forward with new decisions. Other questions? Oh, yeah.
What's a hyperspike?
What's a what?
Hyperspike. It was on the slide about a hyperspike.
It's a loud external speaker for the public address system. Sorry.
And speaking of a public address system, what I just want to let you guys know right now is that I've just been informed that a cell phone has been found in the bathroom. I don't know if it's the woman's or men's, but a cell phone, a maroon-covered cell phone, has been found in the bathroom. So if anyone lost a cell phone with a maroon-covered case, go claim it in security. Maroon-covered case. Go take it in security.
We still have time for questions. We had scheduled until 10:45. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was wondering if we had folks from marketing or other folks who will be at all these upcoming conversations and mayoral debates and discussions about local elections to help bolster and provide information about the bonds.
We have a huge list of people who completed a survey, from board members to myself to others, and we will be scheduled to be out in the community, yes, and speak on behalf of the bond, as well as speaking to different groups within the college and in the community. So we have quite a bit to do in this next month. A month from, well, today's the 8th of January, so it's a month from tomorrow that the election will occur on February 6th. Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Just a really quick plug. April 6th and 7th, the School of Fitness Education with the foundation we'll be hosting our second annual Gerald Clay Memorial Basketball Tournament.
Oh, yes.
3-on-3, 3 categories, fun, recreational, competitive. We had 30 teams last year. We will be capping it at 40 this year.
That's right. I volunteered to help. So I will be a scorekeeper, I believe. I will. Any other announcements? Yes, here's one up here.
I'm Chris Swedeen from Continuing Education and Contract Training. We are having an open house tomorrow. You are all invited at 3 o'clock before the open house starts. We have food, and we have coffee, and it will be very fun. And you can use your EEBs to take classes with us, as can your children and your dependents.
Great.
So we welcome you, and we hope you'll see you tomorrow.
Fabulous. Thanks for the reminder. I'll be there. And I understand you're active with the League of Women Voters. Did I hear that? Separate discussion. We'll talk. I was going to go to that. No, I just want to be sure and connect with you on that. Okay, after.
Hi, I'm Megan. I wanted to just reiterate a couple of things. One, the staff Senate meeting is going to be here in the Hamas rooms. It was 2:21. We've been rescheduled. Also, just wanted to remind everybody, payment deadline's tomorrow. So if you've got students in a panic, it's always a good idea to encourage them to check with financial aid and make sure their financial aid's in place, or to set up a payment plan so that they don't get disenrolled from classes.
Thank you. Right up here.
I was just wondering, is there an update on the Director for Human Resources position?
I'll be meeting with the committee this week, and in order to move the position forward. Yes, a couple of questions back here.
Bear with me, I'm just one man.
I just had a quick announcement, 2 highlights for 2 of our students on campus. Ashley Valdez with the Master Charter High School received the Martin Luther King Service Award, so she'll be awarded that on the 15th of January, and the Rotunda at the New Mexico State Capitol, if anyone can go to support her.
Great.
And then our Enlace program, Engaging Latino Communities for Education, is getting ready to start our 2018 legislative session. And another Master Charter High School student, Jose Merino, has been selected as one of the 2 to represent the Northeastern region. So I just wanted to acknowledge those 2 students.
That's great. Thank you.
The Office of Student Development is working with OPI on a student need assessment survey. So we should have that out soon, hopefully, for the beginning of class. So if any instructors can please help promote this. This is very important. Some of the short-term goals, and also looking at long-term as to what the students would like to have on campus.
Thank you, Mary. Gilbert, and up front.
In an effort to meet the needs of the enrollment for male students, anything that can be done to reactivate the GAME program, which basically was canceled last semester, Great Achievements in Men's Education, because of changes within the advisement office, and the 2 sponsors over there could no longer hold meetings, would greatly aid.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you. There's up here. Well, there and then up here.
Hi there, I'm Lenny. I just wanted to remind people that if you have not had a chance to see the Science on a Sphere, I'm holding an open house tomorrow from, thank you, 3 o'clock. 3 to 4:30, and it's just an open house. So come by anytime you want just to see what it looks like. And the idea is, if you have any ideas of, it's to get you going for any ideas of how to use it as a tool for outreach to the community, how to use it in your classrooms. It is super cool. So if you have not seen it, please come on by.
I look forward to it because I have not seen it in action. Thanks, Lenny.
I had 2 questions. One is, do you know when the Santa Fe Community College Day at the Roundhouse is going to be?
I do not. Todd, do you know when it is?
This is a long delay in saying that I don't know the answer, but We'll be participating in Community College Day at the legislature as one of the colleges with the New Mexico Independent Community College group, but there won't be a Santa Fe Community College Day specifically. I will find the day and I'll share it on our Campus Weekly newsletter update. Thank you.
Thank you. The second thing is that we now have a Toastmasters Club here at the college, and it's not just for students, it's for faculty and staff as well. So if you have any curriculum you're developing and want to practice in front of an enthusiastic and discerning audience, then we'd be happy to help with that. And then also for any of the students, you don't have to be a member, just if they need help in presentations, have them come by, give us a quick dress rehearsal, you could say, of their their classroom presentation with us, and we can give them some friendly advice.
Excellent. I think that's excellent. Are you the sponsor, Rusty? Oh, Rusty's a sponsor, and I think that's an excellent organization to kick off at the college. Thank you.
For anyone who is interested, we're kicking off a collaboration to re-energize the Culinary Garden this Friday at 9 o'clock. Anyone who wants to come, it's going to be a cooperation between the culinary program, the greenhouse, or the controlled environment agriculture program, the master's program, and anybody else who's interested or wants to participate. 9 o'clock, we're having a big planning meeting to really get this thing fired up.
Thank you. Any other, here's another announcement over here with, okay, right there, and then Patrick.
I'd just like to remind you that we do on campus have an active Veterans United Club. And this year we have opened it and are making a concerted effort to recruit female veterans. And we have also opened it to every member on this campus, because surely one of you knows a veteran or was related to a veteran in the past. So our club now is encompassing the entire campus and not just veterans. So you'll probably see more of our efforts throughout the campus for things that are really becoming important to veterans several years down the road from our recent conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick.
Yeah, you do. Good morning. So the culinary program and Sfcc is going to be hosting a big event for the far west region of the Young Chefs Competition, which is a chaîne de rôtisseurs event. Those of you that don't know what that is, that's the oldest food and wine organization in the world. So we're going to be hosting that in March, starting with the foundation and our wonderful dean, Camilla, and my colleague, Chef Jerry Dakin. We're going to have a fundraiser dinner Thursday, March 1st, which is going to be open for all the community. We're going to have chefs come in and cook the certain entrees, so on and so forth. Then the event's going to happen on Saturday, and we are going to be doing a ribbon cutting with the culinary labs, and that's going to be a certified Shen kitchen. Probably the only one in the state. I haven't done the research, but let's go from there.
Wow, fantastic. I'm sure that's going to sell out. So get your tickets early. Emily.
Hi again. I'm having light sensitivity. I'm not trying to be cool. I wanted to let everyone know that while I haven't seen a lot of you in the last couple of months, I have been working really hard on our KPI for furthering diversity in the curriculum. And there's actually an online series of short assignments that are interdisciplinary, that have a whole explanation in addition to resources that can help to bolster these assignments. They can be utilized as professional development, student development, and within your classrooms. And I would love feedback, I would love input, I would love to hear what your resources are. You'll be receiving a self-enroll link to this Center for Diversity and Integrated Learning Canvas course, and I really encourage you to check it out. They are hopefully going to be very easy to utilize and to implement and to integrate into what you're doing. And I think that's all. But please look for that link and please give it a shot. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you, Emily. Very important. Are we done? We are ahead of schedule. We had until 10:45 and it's just a little after 10:30. So thank you for your participation. And now let us go forward. I know you have more sessions, training, and meetings this week, but good luck on Tuesday. Yes,
And just remember, kindness is key at SFCC.
Absolutely. Use that with all your other tools. Thank you for what you do. Have a great semester. Thank you.